Numa, the Swamp of the Dead. This third zombies map established much in the realm of zombies, such as Dr. Maxis. It set up much that was needed for the great storyline yet to come. Verrückt established the stuff in the middle, like perks and power, which was needed, but Numa set up the lore of zombies that knocked and Verrückt did not. It was a fun map that brought about a new kind of zombies fighting style, as well as new ways to defeat the undead. Numa was a fun map that set up much of the zombie storyline, which is why it is considered one of the greats. Perhaps the most important thing Numa gave us was the characters. Tank Dempsey, the idiot American who loves to kill freak bags and maggot whores alike. Nikolai Blinsky, the drunk Russian who fuels his hatred for hell pigs with vodka. Takeo Masaki, who kills demons for the glory of the Emperor. And Dr. Edward Richtofen, who kills his minions with surgical precision. Out of all the groups of characters throughout the Call of Duty saga, this group, aka Ultimus, is the most important. Having the iconic Dempsey, Richtofen, Nikolai, and Takeo is a big step from the Marines in Verrückt with basic dialogue and an even greater leap from 2 maps previous when the Marines didn't talk whatsoever. These 4 characters led to a deep and engrossing storyline that enveloped players over several games. The bulk of the Treyarch zombie storyline was focused on the Ultimus group, especially Richtofen. These characters played a pivotal role in the world of zombies and led to many more groups like the Transit group and the Primus characters. Without Dempsey, Takeo, Nikolai, and Richtofen, many things would not have been possible. Numa also set up the basics for the storyline yet to come. It didn't establish too much, but it had a few key things. It was a mini Derice in terms of what was introduced. In the spawn room, there was a dead Marine hanging from the ceiling. While he played a minor part in the overall storyline, he is still important. He was part of the team set to contain the zombie outbreak at Numa. He also appears in Gorod Krovi years later in Black Ops 3. If you play the audio recording, you can find out his name, Peter McCain. This broadcast entails another Marine telling Peter that the asylum, aka Verrückt, was overrun by the undead. He says the giant must remain safe, that Derice must remain contained. This Marine also mentions Dr. Richtofen and Dr. Maxis, the first time we ever hear about Maxis.
Stand up! Stand up!
Element 115, the substance that had a part in the creation of the undead, was likewise mentioned. The Marine talks about the continuation of the DG2 experiments, better known as the Wunderwaffe DG2 or simply the Wunderwaffle. This transmission established much that was to come in subsequent maps, effectively igniting the zombie storyline.
R-4808N 37 14 606 115 48 40.
I hope you're receiving this transmission, Peter. If you are not, then all is our been lost. You must know by now that we failed to contain the asylum, and that we had to move the experiment here. Location. The numbers will guide you. The giant must remain at all costs. Repeat, Derice must remain safe at all costs. The DG2 experiments continue. Maybe our only advantage now. Find Dr. Maxis. They may know what's going on. The use of 115 is dangerous at best. I'm not sure we can continue here. We've lost most of our best people. I hope you get this. I hope it hasn't happened there too. But I'm almost out of hope.
6054.
Is it just me, or is it raining blood around here?
The map set up the characters, but it didn't establish much about them, with one exception, Richtofen. While much about him was still unknown after the map was released, some things were set up. The transmission mentioned him and Maxis, making the two connected to each other, Derice and Element 115. The doctor's quarters section of the map was his exclusive workstation in the area. This solidified the fact that he had some connection to Numa prior to his arrival with the rest of Ultimus. In Black Ops 3, it is learned that Numa was a Division 9 facility, which was partnered with Group 935. Later, it is learned the group has traveled here to retrieve Richtofen's diary, but had to face hordes of the undead to get it. Out of all the 4 characters, Edward Richtofen is the most important, and his story is first established here, at the Rising Sun facility. As previously said, Numa first mentions Element 115,
I wonder if that rock brought those freak bags.
which is responsible for a great number of things, from Perkaclaws to the zombies themselves. A giant meteor can be found outside the map, which caused the Imperial forces to turn into the dead. This element can be found all throughout zombies. This substance is one of the most iconic things about zombies. Sure, it is not as celebrated as perks, but it has its great uses nonetheless. The Wonder Fizz, which gives random perks for 1500 points, is powered by 115. The giant robots in Origins utilize this element to help them function. The Wonder Spheres use 115 to fly you across entire maps. The ray gun and many other wonder weapons contain 115 as well. Without this element, much would not be possible, and it was conceptualized way back in Numa years ago. The box light was introduced in World at War's 3rd map, a light in the sky indicating where the location of the box is on the map. This light survived onto many more maps like Mob of the Dead and Horizon Trek. This light became part of the box, which made it even more lovable than before. The zipline was brought to life in Numa, something very unique about this map that no other had. It was simple and only transported you a short distance. However, it was fun to use and it saved your life at critical moments. The closest thing to this zipline in World of War was the teleporters in Darice, but even that was far from being the same thing. In Mob of the Dead, the gondola resembled the zipline from Numa. This is the first map to feature the Hellhounds, something that has been featured in many subsequent maps. They drop a max ammo when the last dog is killed, something that can save you from defeat. These dogs have been a nuisance, as well as a savior, ever since their debut in Numa. Another interesting thing about this map was the randomized perks. You never knew what you were going to get once you opened up those doors. Would you get the life-saving jug, or the useless quick revive? You never knew. This made the map even more a challenge than it already was. The second wonder weapon in zombies was introduced in this map. The Wunderwaffe DG2 dealt infinite damage, and its shot always affected multiple zombies, so you could basically wipe out an entire train in just a few shots. The introduction of the Wunderwaffe solidified the notion that more wonder weapons were to come in the future, and zombies wasn't limited to just the ray gun.
Land in ahead, baby!
Perhaps the most iconic thing about the map was the flogger. It remains one of, if not the most iconic trap to date. Sure, you have other cool traps like the saw trap in Mob of the Dead and the fire trap in Kino der Toten, but they don't even compare to the flogger. Just look at her. Such a beauty that would fling zombies into the air. It only had one flaw though. It took a while to start up, so a few zombies might slip through before then. Other than that, the flogger was a masterpiece of a trap that made Numa stand out among the other 3 maps of World at War.
Sorry, zombie. I ain't nobody's meat snack.
The layout of the map was much different from that of Verrückt or Nocturne Totem. It was more of a run-and-gun type map rather than a camping kind of map. In Noct, you had the Spot. Behold! Spot. Which helped you get to high rounds. In Verrückt, you could kind of run around and shoot as you go at lower rounds, but once you got to higher rounds, you had to camp. That hardly even worked because of the difficulty of the map though. Numa was much different, however. There was no solid place to camp in the entirety of all of Numa. In the buildings, you had one entrance and a trap guarding the door, so it would be an ideal location to camp, right? Wrong. While one entrance is typically what you want for a campsite, these buildings had many windows for zombies to spawn out of on the inside. So even if you were able to fend against the wretched horde coming in the doorway, you had swarms of them coming at you from all sides. The long pathways make for a great run and gun type map that could take you to high rounds. If you had the Wonder Waffle as well, you were basically set. Just train them to get them in a line, and then fire a few shots, and you were good.
Unless you take my guns.
Numa is a definite classic that was fun to play no matter what, and it established much in the realm of zombies. Numa set up the storyline yet to come, and was a much needed addition to the line of zombies. As always, make sure to like and subscribe.